I have 1.5 kilos of plums. I have taken the stones out of the plums and just cut them up. I have then had this on a simmer for about 60 minutes and it's reduced by 1/3. I now am going to add 1.5 kilos of white sugar. I have warmed this up in the microwave so that it doesn't, put it in the microwave for about 2 minutes, and so it doesn't bring down the temperature too much of the jam mixture. So now we're going to add the sugar into the plums and we're going to stir it around, and we're going to keep stirring until the sugar has dissolved. Do it gently. I do need a bigger saucepan, but this is the biggest one I have, so I'm going to use it because that's all I have. So we're just going to stir this in, and we're going to keep stirring until all the sugar has dissolved. It's not dissolved yet, but it kind of clumps up a little bit until it starts to get warm and absorb the moisture. And then you're going to mix it through, and you'll be able to tell if it's dissolved because it won't sound like there's sand in there. Now that sounds pretty good. It doesn't sound like I'm stirring sand into my jam. I'm sorry about the camera angle. This was not a planned jam making session. I just had a heap of plums, sorry. Thought, let's make some jam. So my video camera is not set up for jam making. It's set up for a crochet tutorial, which is what I normally do here on this channel if you're not familiar with my videos. So just stir it around, and what we want to do now is bring it up to a simmer. This was simmering before, but because we've added some cooler sugar into it, it stops, and so we need to bring it back up to the simmer. And I made this yesterday, and because it's such a small pot, it actually boiled over. Well, not completely, but it was on its way to boiling over. So what I actually did is just moved it so it was only half on the heat, and there's plenty of heat in this hot plate to make the jam. And I know it works that way because I made jam yesterday and it tastes lovely. And it's set well and everything. So what we want to do is we want to bring it back up to, sorry, we want to bring it to the boil, not the simmer. We finished with the simmer now. We're going to bring it to the boil, and we want to keep it on the boil for 15 minutes. You want to check it after 10 to make sure it hasn't already got to the point of setting. So what we're going to do is grab a plate. This is just a bread and butter plate, and I'm going to put it in the freezer. So pop it in there because we want it nice and cold. So I've turned the heat up on my stovetop, and that's probably actually going to be too high. So I will turn it down once it starts to bubble. So it's not bubbling yet, I don't think. Again, I apologise for the shaky footage. No bubbles yet, so I'll come back when it's bubbling. So you can see it's starting to bubble here, and what will happen is it actually starts to bubble quite fast. So if you're not careful, do not walk away from this. If you're not careful, it's going to bubble over. You'll see over here, it kind of like becomes this volcano. So what I'm going to do is, I know it's going to bubble over, so I'm going to move it off the heat just a little bit, and I'm still going to watch it. So once we get it to the boiling point the boiling point like this, yes, I speak good English, we want to do that for 10 to 15 minutes, and I'm going to show you how to test it when I get to that stage. So at about 10 minutes, we're going to test it. We're going to put a little bit of jam on our cold plate, going to leave it for a little bit, like about 30 seconds, and then test it. But I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. So I have mine bubbling. It's only half on because like I said, my pot is way too small. You'll notice that, I don't know if it's going to, probably won't do it now, but no, it's not going to, but it just starts to do that all of a sudden. It's actually getting really close to the top, so I'm going to stop filming in case I spill it everywhere. I've got a happy balance. So what I've done is I've just got some baking paper. You may call it parchment paper, I think it might be called. It's like a, is it greaseproof paper? I think it's called that too. Use it for baking and you put biscuits on it and stuff. I've put that down. I've put my jars to the side. They are about, I think, 500 milliliter or half a litre containers. I've just put them on that because when you put the jam into the jam jars, it can get a bit messy. And it's a lot easier to clean up. So what I did is I put them in the oven for, the jars in the oven for, for about half an hour at about 200 degrees. You want to get them nice and hot, and then you can just turn it off and leave them in the oven until you're ready to use them. What I do is I normally just start the jam and then put the jars in, and then by the time I'm ready to jam it, like put the jam in the jars, they're just nice and warm, which is okay. It doesn't matter if they're cold, but you want them a little bit warm because I'm thinking if you put hot, because that stuff is really hot, into cold jars, it could crack them. Another way I've sterilised jars is boil them in a big saucepan. And I'm pretty sure you could probably use the baby sterilisers too. I'm sure that would be a different way to do it. It's boiling away. I think it's been about 8 minutes, so we're still going, and we're going to test it soon. Time to test. I have my plate. It's out of the freezer. It's lovely, lovely and cold. We're going to need a spoon. I've just got a spoon, and I'm going to grab some of that. And then I'm going to put it onto, typical. I'm going to put it onto my plate, and we're going to leave it. We can spread it out in a minute. Grab our plate. I might move it around. Oh, I really should have set up my tripod for this. It would be so much easier. Right, and I'm just going to blow on this because I don't want it to be hot. Do not want to burn my fingers. Alright. Just doing a quick test. Right, it's not hot. So what you're going to do is go like that. And if the jam doesn't move, it's quite thick. If it doesn't, alright, see how it moves back in? It's not ready yet. It's moving in quite quick. So when you do that, that tastes so good. When you're doing this, and it goes back in really slow, that's when it's ready. Oh, but you don't want to do it too long, because what happens is your jam sets really hard. Yeah, been there, done that. So yeah, I think that's all I've got to tell you at the moment. So we'll be back when we're ready to test again. Put more jam on the plate, and I'm just going to do a test. It's a lot slower, but I'm just going to give it another minute, because this bit at the end goes really quick, because that's still a little bit warm too on the plate. Oh god, it tastes good. Still a bit warm on the plate, so it hasn't quite set if it was in the fridge. So yeah, by the time I've turned this camera off, that is ready. So I'm actually just going to turn the heat off now. So that's off. I'm just going to let the bubbles subside a bit because I don't want to burn myself. And then I've just got a soup ladle. One soup ladle. And I'm going to ladle that into the jars. If if you don't like the look of this, I actually took off that scummy bit yesterday when I did mine, and it didn't actually make any difference to the jam, like with the setting and everything. I'm not sure if you're supposed to take that off, but I just didn't like the look of it because it just kind of looks like scum. So I'm actually going to remove that. Not all of it, but just most of it. And then I'm going to put my jam in my jar. So I have my jars filled, and you can see I made a bit of a mess, so luckily that paper was there. And all you got to do now is put the lids on. Make sure they're nice and tight. I leave these to cool just on the bench. I might even just leave them here to cool down. Probably just overnight, and then I'll put them in the fridge tomorrow. And I made this recipe yesterday and had it with scones. OMG, it is so good. And if anybody's wondering what type of plums these are, I have absolutely no idea. There's a fruit tree in my backyard, and it has yellow flesh and the sort of dark reddish, sort of purplish skins. But you could do it with any plums. It'll still be delicious. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you love this. Got any recipes that you like? Leave it in the link. Leave it in the description. Oh, what am I talking about? Leave it in the comment section. That's what we're doing. Leave a link to any recipes that you love in the comment section so you can share it with others. Till next time, see you later. Bye.